There are several trees that have interesting features that are more noticeable in the winter landscape. Once all their leaves have fallen away, we're more likely to notice the very showy bark, like we have on this lacebark elm. This is a very old lacebark elm here in our arboretum. And of course, once the trees get a little bit older, the bark starts to flake away like this, and it reveals this beautiful mosaic. The lacebark elm, of course, is a very good tree for Oklahoma. It's one of our superior elms, and it's even a recommended tree in the western part of the state. So you might think about a lacebark elm for your yard. The sycamore, or American plane tree, is another tree that exhibits showy bark that's really noticeable in the wintertime. Once the branches get to be about 1 inch in diameter, they start to exhibit this beautiful white bark. And occasionally you'll see these little gray to silverish patches in that white bark. The American plane tree is a very large tree, and it's not really suitable to most residences. It gets so big, it's just really too big. It's more suited to large estates or parks or things like that. And there are also a few other problems with the tree. In a wet spring, it can get a disease called anthracnose, and they also require a lot of water, so they're not really suited to the western part of our state. There is another tree, the London plane tree is a very similar species. It's a little bit smaller than our American plane tree, and it's actually a cross between our sycamore and an Asian species. It has the same very showy white bark, and its smaller size makes it more suitable to the average residents. The trees are also more resistant to anthracnose. The leaves kind of look like a maple tree, and the fruiting structures look a little bit different also. The regular sycamore, or American plane tree, will have 1 fruiting structure per stalk, and the London plane tree will have 2 or 3, and they're a little bit smaller, as you can see right here. But both the American and London plane trees exhibit this beautiful white bark that's really noticeable here in the winter. The saucer magnolia is generally known for its beautiful display of flowers in the springtime before the leaves come on, but I really like the look that the bark gives us here in the wintertime. You get this beautiful silvery color, and just the fact that the trees are usually grown as multi-trunked specimens just gives us another very showy effect in the wintertime garden. The buds for next year's flowers are present here on the tips of the branches. You get these large, very fuzzy buds, and those will expand and erupt into a very beautiful show in the springtime. The saucer magnolia, of course, likes a rich, well-drained soil and can occasionally start to scorch in the summertime if they get too dry. Sometimes if we have a late frost, the buds will get frozen, but a tree in full bloom is really a sight to behold. Another multi-trunked tree with interesting winter bark is a river birch. And you can see why this tree is enjoyed by a lot of people, and that's because it has this beautiful exfoliating bark. This particular cultivar is called Heritage, and its exfoliating bark is even a little more pronounced. The Heritage river birch also has a little bit larger leaves than the typical river birch. These are native to the eastern part of Oklahoma, and they like to grow in a moist area. So when you're planting one of these, it's a good idea to plant it in a low spot rather than up on a berm or a hill. And if you forget to water it in the summertime, it'll let you know because it'll start to drop some of its leaves. Well, I hope you've enjoyed some of these trees with interesting winter features.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.